spectacular films with larger-than-life stars like John Wayne, Audrey Hepburn, Marlon Brando, Elizabeth Taylor, back on the big screen. I'll be there too, sharing behind-the-scenes stories about the movies and stars, just as I do every day on American Movie Classics. So if you like classic movies, join us for the... This movie goes back to 1941. Henry Hathaway was helping John Wayne solidify his hard-earned star status when he chose him for the film we're going to see right now. Before that, as you know, Mr. Wayne had spent 10 years making many, many low-budget films and serials. He was then, of course, elevated to the new category by John Ford in 1939, cast him in Stagecoach, his first successful major role. If that was the film that propelled him to stardom, then this, his first Technicolor feature, was the one that ensured he was here to stay. The film was also significant in another way because it had many parallels to his own life. Like the lonely character he portrayed, we're told that John Wayne had a very tough relationship with his father and unhappy memories of his childhood. Interestingly enough, the actor playing his father in this movie is Harry Carey, Sr., who was a true father figure in real life. He was John Wayne's friend, and some say his mentor, from the early days when John Wayne was a struggling actor. What was the real John Wayne like? Nobody really knows, I suppose. But maybe there are clues. Once during a trip to Cambridge, Massachusetts, he was asked by a film student, "Mr. Wayne, do you look at yourself as an American legend?" His reply was, "Well, not being a Harvard man, I don't look at myself any more than necessary." Although he was always identified with John Ford films, it was Henry Hathaway who helped him win his only Oscar for True Grit. Here he is, almost 30 years before that, John Wayne in The Shepherd of the Hills. You know, that name, Matt Matthews, was a little closer to John Wayne's real name than John Wayne. As many of you know, he was born Marion Michael Morrison, but as a youngster he was called Duke, and that nickname caught on after his family, who had named their dog Big Duke, began to refer to young Marion as Little Duke. Early in his career as a stuntman and struggling actor, he was still known as Duke Morrison. John Wayne didn't come until pretty much later on. Now let me give you an interesting double or triple twist on a Hollywood name from this movie. In The Shepherd of the Hills, the mute, Pete Matthews, was played by Mark Lawrence, a character actor and former opera singer who spent more than 40 years in the movies playing Italian gangsters. In fact, some critics thought that he turned in one of his best performances in the film we just saw. But the real name of this authentic-looking Italian character actor and former opera singer, Mark Goldsmith. Too bad his family didn't have a dog named Duke. We're going to continue our triple feature with John Wayne with a World War II drama, In Harm's Way, coming up. Now watch this.
Tonight on AMC, keep watching as our salute to John Wayne continues with Otto Preminger's exciting World War II drama, In Harm's Way.
And he admitted it, too. He said that Wayne was a great actor. He never blew a line, never became impatient with actors who did blow lines. Beside all those accolades, John Wayne was the only actor in the cast, if not the only actor in the history of Hollywood, who actually could get along with Otto Preminger. So there was something special about John Wayne. Preminger treated John Wayne with respect, which was unusual for this director, whose temper tantrums were just the stuff of legends. Casting director Max Slater, who knew in advance that he'd dislike Wayne because of his conservative politics, ended up playing chess with the Duke for hours between camera setups every day. While Wayne's politics were at odds with most of the liberal leanings of the cast and crew, everybody found him well-read, articulate, and above all, a genuinely nice guy. Here he is in Harm's Way. Those spectacular battle scenes were filmed with scaled-down warships. They had one technician operating each model. The whole sequence was shot through fog filters to disguise the size of these things. Well, Kirk Douglas didn't really think they looked real at all, and he criticized Otto Preminger for not putting some people on the decks. He said, they look like little toy boats, which really is exactly what they were. Speaking of Kirk Douglas, he roomed with an officer when they filmed aboard the USS St. Paul, and he was surprised to find out, this officer, that Douglas was Jewish. Douglas thought there weren't any Jews in the Navy. When the officer told him there were no Jewish services held on board, Douglas volunteered to conduct them. To the astonishment of many on board, Kirk Douglas conducted those services in flawless Hebrew. You see, as a child, one of his earliest ambitions, Kirk Douglas, was to become a rabbi. Now this.